To the first How to Job podcast. Now, in this one, we're going to talk about the hidden job market, and I've got my co-host with me, Vaibhav. So, Vaibhav, take it away with an introduction.
Thank you so much. Hey everyone, my name is Vaibhav Sharma and I'm an associate account manager at the London Stock Exchange Group. And I was a job seeker like you guys. I'm international job seeker actually. I'm from New Delhi, India. I did my master's here in London, and I navigated through the job hunt process. And Milo was actually kind enough to help me through that. And we thought, because there are so many people like myself who are international job seekers, and also people who are just from here in the UK and looking for their dream jobs. And there was a huge gap between, a huge information gap on how do you actually go about getting those jobs when you're not from the top end universities or target universities from the companies you want. So me and Milo thought it would be a great thing to, get
Nice little
yeah,
collaboration going to figure
exactly.
things out and help people as much as we can to kind of get
100%.
into the hidden jobs because you are proof of it working
Yeah.
and being able to get the right job
Yeah.
without kind of just applying. And
100%. Yeah.
I think what we should focus on for this one is just to tell as many people how you can get into the hidden job and how it kind of works.
And what was life like for me before I actually know about the hidden job as well?
Because for you it was tough with traditional applications. It was
Exactly.
just like, hey, I was applying,
Yep.
nothing's happening.
Yep.
How do I get into the right opportunity? How do I get into the right job?
Yep.
So tell a little bit about how that worked for you before
Sure,
you changed everything.
I'll go through the entire journey.
Yeah.
So I moved to the UK in March of 2021 to pursue my master's in data science, like like in the middle of the pandemic. So think of the worst time ever. And so I enrolled in December of 2020 in the course. And whilst I was starting the course, I was going, even before moving to the UK, I was going through the companies that I would want to work for. And when the summer comes, what companies I can go for internships that would actually lead to an actual job. And I had a list of these companies, and London Stock Exchange Group was one of the top 5 companies. I thought it would be very cool if I could land an internship or a full-time job there. And and funny enough, these internships go 6 months before, so they're like all done. So by the time I even got to know about the position, it was already filled, and I was already late. That was my first awakening, rude awakening actually, that these things happen way advance, way before time, and you have to be ready before these things even go out in the ether and people can even see that these jobs exist. And when I came here, I kept seeing the career page of London Stock Exchange Group, and I was like, oh, this position I can be good for. This position I can be good for. And I kept applying and kept applying for 2 years straight, and I just kept getting rejected, And I even I went through the levels. So first I just got rejected. Then the other time someone reached out to me asking about a little bit about myself. Then I didn't hear about anything. And I was like, there has to be a way. There has to be a way. And then, funny enough, then I came across Milo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all changed, right?
And it all changed. And
Yeah.
it was so weird because something that I was trying for 2 years. So since January 2021 till November 2022, and I had the same results. And like when I was working with Milo, within like 2 weeks, I could see the results. And by December, I had secured my job. So
Perfect.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of, I think what a lot of people don't really get with the hidden job market is that they don't actually know it exists.
Exactly.
So
That's one of the.
everybody's so used to like just keeping applying,
Yeah.
and then you apply, and then it's very easy to get into that little loop, which is, hey, I'm making applications, nothing's happening, the job market is rigged. Or it feels like a lottery for most people. And I think it kind of felt like that for you. I remember you telling me it's just like, hey, Milo, I'm applying,
Exactly.
nothing's happening. How do I get a job?
Like rejigging my CV, my cover letter. Oh my god, that man! I hate applying for jobs. As I can like there comes a point, because I think how we as humans, we are like, oh, we wouldn't get a dream job unless we apply for it. Like, and that's the only way that we have been told throughout high school, universities, college. It's like, oh, you just go on their careers page, or they would come to your university. It's like, hey, why don't you want to apply it? Tell us more about it. And or LinkedIn. That's the only routes that a normal person know
Yeah.
of how to apply for a job. And then you told me about the hidden job market.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know that when you're actually looking at the hidden job market, you are actually talking to people in these companies.
Yep.
Because if you just apply, there is a software there
Yep.
that just eliminates your CV before somebody even looks at your CV.
Exactly.
So you technically don't exist
Yep.
two people in these applications.
Yep.
And that's a big problem because you're not making the applications even though you are. But if you reach out to somebody and you actually say, hey, this is what I'm looking for.
Yep.
This is the soft skill that I have. This is the company culture fit that I have. You're more inclined to get a conversation going with them. And if you speak to a
100%.
decision maker, you get into a role. It's as simple as that if everything goes well. But think about the difference there, because you're making an application, you're ghosted, you don't exist because the software eliminates you. You speak to an actual human being, they actually see your profile.
Yeah.
And you can send your CV to them and you can ask them questions. And the more questions you ask, the better it is. So I think that is something that people need to start doing a lot more of. And
100%.
when it comes to hidden jobs themselves, what people don't realize is 80% of the job market is hidden. So if you're applying to any job right now, that's 20% of what's available. And if you're applying to just 20% of what's available and you have a software that eliminates your CV 98% of the time, you might be applying to like 3,000 jobs, but maybe 5 of them are actually seen.
Yep.
And that becomes an issue.
Yep.
So the main thing I think is understanding that there is this big market and tapping into it. That's a challenge for a lot of people. So how did you find, because with your case, London Stock Exchange Group, you needed to speak to like a decision maker.
Yep.
You needed to impress them. Obviously, you're a very impressive guy, but you needed to impress them to actually really want to meet you. How did you find that in terms of how that happened?
On the back of that, first of all, I spoke to more than one decision maker. So I spoke to 2 decision makers, and one did actually just reject me for a job that was online. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, but like how one can prepare is for know thyself. I think like advice for job hunting, advice for life, know what you have to offer, and how to position that with what the company wants as well. So I like, even though the name is so attractive, London Stock Exchange Group, and they have a lot of companies within them. There's not just the trading aspect of it. There's not just the post-trade clearing. There's data analytics, so much more. And they have multiple partnerships. Now, most recently with Microsoft as well. And I was like, okay, I'm a guy who did my engineering from India, and I did my master's in data science here. How do I position myself? I used those to identify, and I think when I got on these calls, knowing about the company, what do they do, and if you just go like spend 20 minutes on the company website, what they do, what they have to offer, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong, and they would know that, oh, okay, this guy has done some research, which is one check, green flag as soon as you get in, and then asking the right questions, as you taught me, of course.
Yeah. I think questions is key, because so many people can look at a website and I think they can see, oh, this is London Stock Exchange Group. They want to hire people who like our products and can fit into the culture. But asking the questions to really take a deeper look into what that culture means.
Oh, it's so important.
That shows, okay, this person switched on. They care about culture, but they also want to know what's behind the closed doors.
Exactly.
And that's a really good conversation to have with a hiring manager, because then they can give you that intel.
100%.
And if you can then use that intel to loop into it, to effectively say, oh, I'm so glad you said that. That's the culture that the company's about. I can definitely work here. And this is the skill that I have, and this is the profile that I have that allows me to kind of
be a right fit for this position. And also, second point, everybody loves to talk about themselves and what they do.
100%. 100%.
And if you can just be curious enough and ask that in the right way, because you can do this the wrong way a million ways. But if you just do it the right way, why would they not want to talk about themselves?
Yeah.
Everybody, especially people. I'm not boxing anyone, but people in finance, especially, they love talking about themselves.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And how much they make, how much, year on year, how much were their bonuses and stuff like that. They love talking about that. So of course, don't go in straight away asking, how much do you make, or what was your bonus last quarter, but you can get a nice sense of, okay, what can I ask them so that they can talk about the role, what I'm interested in, and And from that, you have to be quite on your feet on understanding, okay, these are the things that they're looking for. And how do I pitch myself for that?
And in terms of if you had to give someone advice to do that, would you say company culture is the most important? Because we spoke about culture, but also you've got soft skills, you've got key metrics, you have measurable metrics, like who you could be in the role. So I call that a soft profile. So company culture is important, but then let's say you've got key metrics of success. So if London Stock Exchange looks for, let's say, leadership qualities, that would be a key metric of a soft skill success, but then they might have other soft skills that they also look for. And I think that's important because you want to not just rest on the culture, because the culture is great, but also like there's so many other things. So if you had to pinpoint another part that you could impart the wisdom on other viewers, if they wanted to, let's say, sell themselves to London Stock Exchange, would it just be the culture, or would it be any of these other things?
I think understanding, first of all, because again, there are so many silos within London Stock Exchange Group as well. Different companies have different requirements. For example, post clearing has like, you have to be very technical about stuff. You have to have very peak technical knowledge. Where I work, you have to be more of a relationships guy. And because I was able to, and people were ready to talk to me, and I was able to present myself in the right way. I was like, okay, this guy can present himself in a nice light. We can trust him to go out there with our name on his name tag and trust to build a nice relationship on behalf of London Stock Exchange Group.
Yeah. And I think that's super important. Sorry to jump in, because I think for networking, especially for hidden jobs, what people tend to really forget, like when you network with people, these people, if they give you a referral and you mess up, you make them look bad.
So many people reach out to me to like referral, and I would not do that, because even though I get a kickback off that, and a nice one as well.
It's a pretty good one, right?
And it's a pretty good one. I have a colleague of mine. He was from a competitor. He works for us now, and he has brought in his entire team over the years just by referring them. And he's like, "Yeah, that's a nice side hustle."
Yeah, of course,
really,
100%. Because some companies pay like £5,000, £6,000, depending on where you are in the world, of course. But if you recommend someone that actually gets the job,
that is the best case scenario. But again, the chances of best case scenario when you don't know the person is very minimalistic, and people would not do that unless they know you over a period of time. Or I mean, come on, why would someone refer you if all you have known about them is just a few lines of conversation via LinkedIn and haven't even gotten on a call with them?
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
But I thought that was the case, but then that happened to me, and I got literally just like that. Yeah.
Which is great. But also from the point of, let's say, networking, if you make someone look bad, they're not going to obviously refer you. And that's the biggest issue I think people have with like being able to refer you into a role. They don't know you yet. So a lot of people, they send a message on LinkedIn and they say, okay, can I get a job? Or here's my CV. Is there any positions? Which is the worst thing to say. But if you then find out, okay, this company likes to hire this particular soft skill, and then you validate that soft skill that you're actually a good fit for it. Perfect. It works.
Showcase that from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's super, super important. What do you think about the hidden job kind of expanding? Because 80% of jobs are hidden, 20% are traditional. Do you think that's going to change in the future? Do you think it needs to be more fair, where there's going to be more traditional jobs? Do you think more jobs are going to be hidden? What's your perspective on that?
Sure. So I'll go into a little bit by telling. So traditional jobs is what you guys see on any company's careers page, LinkedIn, and stuff like that. That's what you see. Hidden jobs, so it's basically made of people within the company changing roles, or people going to a different company and that role being not filled for a huge amount of time. That's basically our hidden job. And it happens every single day, every single week without a miss. I mean, I have a position open in my I don't have a manager because she decided to leave. We as a company haven't hired anyone yet, and we're still hiring that process. And she left, I think, in May, and this is September, and I think the job didn't even go online until August. So that
was a hidden job.
Exactly. Yeah. But I know people internally who have already applied for that job.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's so interesting. So hidden job is are these positions that are left by people moving into different companies and different positions. And because company also do not advertise that, because of course they save resources and money by not doing that. And if they can have someone internally or refer internally, they save money and they hire someone good.
Mhm.
I think this will only expand because people, if you've seen over the last couple of decades, people and their tenure was like, oh, spend 10 years in HSBC, then 10 years in Citi, and 10 years. Then it came out to, okay, 5 years here in Visa, 5 years in MasterCard, and now 5 years in this. Now it's 2 years here, 2 years in this company, and two. So it's keep on decreasing because the loyalty towards the company is decreasing for, obvious reasons. But that being said, more roles are being available internally, which don't even see the light of LinkedIn or the careers page.
Yeah.
And this will only keep on expanding.
Mm.
And because there are so many teams, and now because people are moving overseas as well, you don't know, people in Canada might need someone in their team in London, and they haven't even because I have that, and they haven't even advertised that, but I can see it on my portal internally that, oh yeah, there's this job. So I think it's the only way is up for hidden job market. And
I agree.
and people, the more we let people know that it exists and they can actually go for it, the more people would be able to take less stress about finding a new job.
I agree. And I think it's important to know why companies have hidden jobs. So companies don't like their competitors knowing who they're hiring.
Yep.
And then there's that element of, okay, we don't want our competitors to know who we're hiring. We're just going to ask our entire team,
Exactly.
hey, who do you know that's good for this open role that we
has
have,
happened so many times. Even like as soon as my manager left, like we were like in our team meeting, which was led by my manager's manager. It's like, okay, guys, if you know anyone, recommend it. Like we are told. So these big companies are told whenever the roles are empty, they are looking for people to recommend.
Right.
Because they get a kickback as well.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So
Yeah.
the kickback, I mean, like you said in your team, the guy who did
Oh, yeah.
like five, how many people?
He has like well over 10.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
well over 10.
That's like a yearly salary
literally,
in terms of if it's like 5-6 grand a pop,
Yep.
10 people.
Exactly.
So there is incentive.
But
definitely.
he's very selective as well, because
I can imagine.
he used to work in I won't name, but a very big competitor of ours. And he's like the niche he works in, the product line, he's like the guy for that. He is the guy. He knows his stuff, and he knows everyone who knows their stuff in the other company. And
So
over the years,
it makes sense for him.
Exactly.
But it doesn't always have to be from an experience point of view. Let's say if it's an entry level role that you're looking for, you can technically still speak to someone. And if they like you, so let's say you reach out to a decision maker in a company and they like what you're about, that's something that's super impressive, because they could refer you. They could have, get the same kickback, but they're sort of vouching for you.
100%.
And that's what we want to focus on when we're reaching out to people, which I think is super important.
Exactly. And that's what happened to me. So when I spoke to two different decision makers, so one got on a call with me and he said, you know what, I need someone with more experience for this role, but it was really nice chatting you. But I was able to use that informational interview that I had with him to learn more about the company culture. And I was like, okay, if I get a chance again, I know how to pitch myself maybe. And what happened was the next time I reached out on LinkedIn to this person, and I was very strategic with my messaging and it's what I have to offer. And this guy didn't even get on a call with me. He's like, okay, this is my email. Send me your CV. And I did it the same day. Next day, the talent person got on a call with me. It's like, oh, we've been recommended you by this person, and we have a couple of roles. But I would like to know more about you first. So it can happen that quick, and because I know, because it happened to me. Yeah. So it's so strange.
Yeah.
It's so strange. The facade that's out there that it takes weeks. It does take weeks because these people have their own day job that they're going. That's their actual job that they're getting paid for, and it obviously comes lower down the priority scale for them. But if you just are at the right place at the right time, why would they not?
Of course, yeah. And if you're the right sort of skill set and you've got the right, the soft profile part of job hunting is so important, because it's not always just about the hard skills. So your soft profile is going to be your soft skill, your work style, your company culture fit. your measurable metrics, like who you are in the role. So that's future pacing.
Yep.
Also, key metrics. If a company's hiring, let's say, for a leadership position,
Yep.
you need to have leadership as a soft skill, but also you have to have the key metrics to show that you want to become a leader in a company.
Yep.
Now, if a hidden job is there and they're not hiring traditionally
Yep.
for their competitors, or if they're having trouble finding people,
Mm-hmm.
they want their staff to recommend someone with that soft profile equation.
Yep.
So if your soft skills are communication, leadership,
Yep.
you want to be promoted, and you like the company culture and the work style, let's say the company just hires remote workers,
Yep.
or even just on site, those two different factors, and you obviously want one of those that the company hires for, it makes sense to reach out to people and ask those questions. Hey, this is what my profile is all about. I want to know if I'm going to be the right fit for your firm.
Yep.
And if you feel that there's a little bit of resonation there with the conversation going, then you can start asking questions like, hey, could I make a formal application that results in an interview? Which is
Or-
kind of, I think, what you did, because you had the head of HR conversation,
Yes.
and then it turned into like, hey, I want to have an interview here.
Yep.
What's the next step? Because you
yep.
kind of pushed to that, which is the right way of doing it.
And which is like, right questions to ask in any, because I mean, I know it's so weird asking these questions like, hey, is there a job? But the thing is, they wouldn't get on a call with you if they don't see something in you. If they weren't interested, they would not get on a call with you. So it's only the right thing to ask. I know it's a bit like, should I not? But I think it's very important, and to structure that question the right way as well. So instead of, it's like, so did you like my CV? Any jobs do you think might fit my CV?
Yeah.
That is not
Don't
the
do
right
that.
way. Yeah, that is not the right way. But
Yeah.
it's like, no, I've had a great conversation with you. Thank you so much for your time today. And thank you so much for explaining me more about the company and what are your guys' value and what you look for in a person. And I had a great time telling you my experience. And I just wanted to see if there's, any positions that you think I might be a good fit for. Why would they not look at it?
100%. And I think the way that you've presented it
Yeah.
is the right way of doing it.
Yeah.
Because so many people say, like you just said, hey, any jobs? Here's my CV. And it's just like the head of HR looks at 500 of those messages every single day.
It's so easy to ignore that one.
Super easy. And you want to be able to kind of stick out from the crowd, but you also want to do it in the right way. Because if you just send the head of HR an email, hey, can I get a job? You're deleted straight away.
Oh yeah, that's a closed gate.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that lead is gone, and it's so important because I get those messages now from
You do?
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I wanted to know if you have any jobs. And I'm like, I'm the wrong guy.
Yeah.
I'm
But if
just
they
in
approach
my
you in a
career.
different way,
Yeah.
then you would refer them,
I mean,
right?
of
And-
course, if I see
yeah.
potential, if I understand as well, and if I was like, okay, and I've helped people. It's like, okay, these are the talent people, and I've seen them, like, if they've presented me in a good way. It's like I'm still at the very beginning of my career. I'm not hiring anyone, guys. Like, just putting it out
One
there.
day, one day.
One day, yeah. So, but what I've done is like, this is our talent person, and I know they're hiring for a couple of roles. I would highly recommend you reach out to them. No, and when it's the right fit, it can happen like that, because it happened to me. It's like next day I got a call, and that's what's very interesting about that. So it's first impressions. They're real, man. Dress like a prospect, or you'll always be a suspect. Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
good. That's
exactly.
good, definitely. And you also get one shot at a first impression.
100%.
And if you mess it up, you mess it up.
Why would you not want it to be your best shot?
Exactly, 100%. And also knowing what questions to ask, that's even more important, because that allows you to be your best self.
Exactly.
And if you have a list of companies that you want to work for, this is one thing that really annoys me when I speak to so many job seekers. Hey, what are you looking for specifically? Oh, I don't mind. Anything? What do you mean anything?
I think a lot of people come from this position of, I don't want to use that word, but that is a bit true, desperation, whilst looking for jobs. And I get that, because they have so much at stake, especially for international job seekers, because so many people have taken out these massive loans back home to fund their education and living here in the UK. And they have to find a job so that they can start paying those loans back as well. And these loans are way more higher interest rate than the loans that are here. and they want to help their families, and it's they put a lot at stake to come here and to work here so that they can get a decent salary and help out their families.
Mhm.
I think that translates that whilst looking for jobs in the wrong way.
Mm.
But it's not something that is, oh, if you just talk that way, you'll only talk that way, and you can easily learn how to present yourself
Mhm.
from a position of power. And you know what, like, okay, I have this to offer. Be great to know if there's something in the pipeline. If not,
Mm.
please do keep me in mind. It was
Yeah.
great chatting with you. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's a good way of doing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So, quick word from our sponsor, which is us, funnily enough. So, are you in a position where you're kind of applying for jobs, nothing's happening, and you're kind of listening to this podcast and you think, these guys are onto something? I'm learning about soft skills, company culture fit, like timelines of getting into a role, what companies to focus on. If you find yourself in a position where you don't know where you're going, I would highly recommend you get yourself a job search power pack. Now, a job search power pack is, think of it like a researched document, everything about you and how you can get into the right role. Get your elevator pitch, optimize your CV, get a cover letter, optimize your LinkedIn, have some posts that you can post on LinkedIn, know which companies to focus on and how to sell yourself to those companies. If you had a roadmap, a structure, and a workflow that other people have used to get into their dream jobs, do you think that you would have a better chance at getting into that dream job? The answer is yes. So there's a link in the description for you to have a look at the Job Search Power Pack. Highly recommend it. Right. Okay. So, what advice would you give to someone if they were in the position that you were in? Obviously, we've covered speaking, networking, saying the right things, but I think from a mindset approach, job seeking right now is like mind-numbingly destroying, soul-destroying. Like people give up. They just sort of they have like you said, international job seekers.
Yep.
They take a loan.
Yep.
They go to university.
Yep.
They have an idea of like, I want to do this job.
Yep.
This is what's going to make my family proud. This
Yep.
is my life. This
Yep.
is the job that I've always dreamed of doing. And then they start applying and they get like massive rejection. What is the one piece of advice that you can give in terms of just mental toughness through this process?
Eat nose for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mm.
That is like, once you do that, you become bulletproof. That's like protecting yourself from anything. So do everything, and if you expect nothing, and I'm guilty of that myself. I do things and expect, because it's only human nature.
Mhm.
But I think even in the Bhagavad Gita, our holy book in India or in Hinduism, it's, if you do the work, which is karam, if you do your work, irrespective of the results, eventually they will start showing.
Mm.
And before that, I think before doing the work, it's important to know, where do you want to go?
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, people can only help you if you tell them where you want to go.
Mhm.
If I don't know where you want to go, how can I help someone get into BlackRock
Mm.
whilst I work in London Stock Exchange Group? Or
Yeah.
how can I'm not a career counselor at least at this point in my life. To when someone comes to me, is like, I've done this, I don't know who will hire me. So, sorry, mate, I can't help you with that.
Yeah.
What I can help you with, if you tell me, is like, I want to do this with my life. I was like, okay, let's okay, that's the dream.
Mhm.
That's like the bigger picture. That's something we work towards. Okay, let's scale it back. Okay, what can you do on a daily basis to get there?
Mhm.
Perfect. You want to do that? How many companies do that? Perfect. Are you aware of these companies? Are you aware of these positions? And start breaking it down in a monthly, weekly,
Mm.
sort of situation. And for example, a job seeker is like, hey man, I need to help. I need help with a job. It's like, okay, what company do you want to work? Or what's the list of companies that you're like, man, I really want to work for this company.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter if it's like Google, Facebook, Tesla, SpaceX, even though they only hire Americans. So, but you need to know where you want to go. You have to speak it into existence. You have to be willing. You have to be confident enough that is like, I know this might be a long shot right now, but this is where I want to go.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
what, and if you have the right skill and you tell them, okay, I have this to offer, people will listen to you. People will, okay, let's figure out. And if you ask enough people, definitely someone will help you out.
I think so. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think you put a really good point there of just like eating those for breakfast, lunch, and dinner,
Yep.
handling that rejection, but just also understanding that it's all part of the process.
It is.
Don't take it personally.
Yeah.
People say no.
Yeah.
It's all good. Just
And-
move on to the next person.
And
That's it.
also to everyone who's listening, you just need one yes.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you eat 40,000 no's,
Mhm.
but you just need that one yes to change everything for you guys.
And
It
then you get
changed
into
me.
the
It
job.
changed everything for me.
That's
that
it.
one yes.
Yeah.
It's just one yes, and you only get there by eating those no's. There's no shortcut around that. I'm afraid.
But you had a couple of more yeses than just one. I mean,
Yeah,
there was a couple of couple of great companies that wanted to hire you.
But London Stock Exchange Group was like, I kept like, I remember like back even when I was in India, it's like, man, that would be a sick company to work for. I mean, that like even the name, like half of the people don't even know what they do.
Yeah,
it's like they just hear Stock Exchange. They're like, whoa.
Well, you hear the name and it's like, these are the big guys.
Exactly. You know, it's not messing about. And even though I knew about them 2 years ago, and that 2 years, I wasn't just sitting as like, yeah, something will happen. I kept applying, but I also kept tabs on the companies. So just like other companies as well that I wanted to work for, I was like, okay, what are they doing? And when I got the first call, I was like, I know you guys are doing this, and that's congratulations on this. And because I remember when I was getting on a call with my hiring manager for the first time, I was like, hey, first of all, by the way, congratulations on your new Microsoft partnership, which was just announced a day before my actual interview. No one is like, oh, okay. So that makes like all the difference.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal because it's just having the motivation and the mindset and really thinking about, okay, this is what I'm looking for and getting it done. That's kind of how it goes.
Exactly.
Amazing. Do you know what? This has been a great podcast, finding out a little bit more about your story and how we can look at the hidden job market.
Yep.
And I think, look, guys, in the comments below, put in any questions that you have for other podcasts that you want us to cover. We'll be kind of figuring out what you want to hear and how you can actually get into the right job. And without further ado, take it away.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a question. In this current climate, what do you say a job seeker or a new graduate's priority should be whilst looking for jobs?
It's a good question. So we've covered the company culture. It's really important to know why you want to work in a company. So a lot of people will say, hey, like you said, London Stock Exchange Group, that's like the pinnacle. But why is that the place you want to work in? So understanding the real whys, which will feed the soft profile. So the soft profile, like we said, is company culture fit, work style, soft skills, key metrics, measurable metrics, all these different things. Once you have that, you've got a much better process to actually ask the right questions.
Yep.
So being able to give you the right advice as, let's say, an entry-level job seeker, you want to know why you're looking for the job. And once you know why, you're going to get in. You're going to ask the right questions.
Exactly.
And that's the main thing. Like I speak to so many job seekers right now who say, hey, Milo, I'm open-minded. I don't really care, which is the worst thing you can think of. And I always tell people, like, it's literally like going to a used car lot and buying a car. You know, the car's worth 50 grand, but they're looking for 25 to sell it to you. And then you think there's something wrong with that engine. Why is that car a lot cheaper?
Yep.
And then you think a job seeker that approaches themselves or explains themselves as like, hey, I'm looking for anything. You look like that broken car. And the employer is willing to pay and willing to actually hire you. But if you're very like confident about how much money you want, the company you want to get into, and effectively what your future looks like for you, that's a win.
Yep.
And it makes you look better.
Yep.
If you say, hey, I'm open-minded, I don't care, you're not going to impress many companies. They're just not going to want to hire you. And that's kind of how it goes in that way.
That shows how, if again goes on, know thyself. I'm a big
100%.
believer in that. It's like
100%.
I'm a big believer in what I want, and if translating that to the job hunt market, it's so important to know what you've done in past, know what you want to do, and just tell them that they want to listen. Okay, what do you? Because they wouldn't get on a call, right? If they are not interested in you, they wouldn't get on a call to learn more about you, and using that time is very using that time efficiently is very important, and telling them, okay, these are my dreams and aspirations, even though that might not directly correlate with your company and that, but there's a way. There's always a way.
Yeah.
And on back of that, what would you say are a few things, because I want people to listen to this and go and do stuff like, so what are the top 3 things from your perspective that someone can do today, right now, listening to this podcast? They're like, okay, let me hear those, pause that, and go and do that.
That's a great question. I love that. So top 3 things. Number 1, create a list of 5 companies you want to work for. Once you create that list, ask yourself why. And the first sort of answer that comes to your mind, lead with that until you're wrong, which is usually always the case. So I want to work for JP Morgan. Okay, why? Because of the brand. If that's the only reason, it's probably not a good selection. You have to have more than that. So understanding which companies. So making a list of 5 companies and then asking why these companies.
By the way, JP Morgan, I would love to work for you as well.
It's a great place. It's a great place. But you need to have that why, right?
Exactly.
And your why is very strong, hence why you're in that position. The second point is what makes you a potential success for that company. Why would they want to hire you? And it's not always hard skills. So don't even write hard skills, but write that soft profile. So if it's a group of soft skills, let's say you're a great communicator and you know how to put a point across.
Yep.
Communicator. If you're a leader, leadership. Pick 2 soft skills on top of those companies.
I know a lot of these companies work in big teams, so maybe team player and team collaboration.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So if you've got the two soft skills now, so we got the company list, which is most likely going to be wrong the first time.
Yep.
You've got the soft skills, which if you pick 2, you're going to realize, okay, these are the 2 strongest that I have. People think, I've got so many soft skills. I've got 10, I've got 12. That's fine. Some people don't even know which ones they have, but usually they're going to be communicators, they're going to be leaders, or they're going to be problem solvers, they work well within a team, or all these other things. But having that as a main point.
Yep.
And then figuring out what's actually stopping you in your mind from actually being able to get into those companies with those skills. And it's usually going to be, I'm just applying. And it's market saturation.
Yep.
So if you're just applying, these companies you want to get into, that top list of 5 companies, they're going to have 5,000 applicants. And all those applicants are going to have generic CVs. And all those applicants will kind of look for those companies, not all, but most, for the wrong reasons. So if you can kind of reverse engineer, okay, these are my 5 top companies. These are the skills that I have, not hard skills, but soft, or even work style, or even culture fit, or whatever it is. And then, okay, what's stopping me is I'm just applying, but I'm not speaking to people. I'm not networking. That's the issue. So if you have to pause this podcast right now, get that company list, think of the soft skills, and then think, what have I done in the last 1 month? Have you just applied? If you've just applied, you're losing because you're up against 5,000 other people who are doing the same thing. You want to be in a group of 5 people. And if your competition is 5,000 people, it's the lottery. If your competition is 5 people, you've got a better chance. And it's just really finding who can help you. So it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yep.
But I also like what you know and who you know combined, then you're winning all the time.
Exactly.
But if you can really be self-aware, like know thyself, like you put, you're going to win. It's as simple as that, I think.
It's you put it in a really great way.
I try my best.
Being like, if it's if you're just applying via normal traditional ways, it's just thousands of applications, versus if being in that small group of 5 people, then it becomes a boxing match, guys. Then it's who's the most prepared. I remember my first ever internship I was going for, and I remember, so the recruiter told me there's only 2 people, you and someone else, and the next task was to give a presentation, and I had someone from my university counselor helping me out with it, and I was like, man, what do I do? Like, how do I make sure that I get this and not the other person? And he's like, you can't do anything. All you can do is make sure you kill that presentation. You know every single thing about it and why you did that. That's it. It's like a boxing match, because you'll only get to know your opponent's strength once you get in that ring.
You're right.
And you can't do that, because only what you can do is focus on your training, your recovery, your nutrition. I was like, whoa. So first of all, any sports related methodologies, I'm all for it. And
100%.
that was very well put. So it's all about, first of all, being in the right pool of people. Like I mean, how many times I have seen on LinkedIn, a job goes up, you see hundreds of thousands of applications have applied, pretty sure more than that, and then they've stopped taking applications, and a couple of weeks down the line they reopen because people who were selected via that pool were not good enough. So these companies are spending a lot of time, money, and resources over that one position that they could have easily got with someone who would have been proactive, reached out to them, get that first call in with the hiring manager or someone related to them within the company, show them what they know, why they're, as you said, know the soft skills, or maybe get to know about the soft skills and have that conversation. Yeah.
That's a good point.
That helps the company, that helps themselves. It's a win-win for both of them.
Good man. Perfect. I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up with that one. I mean, networking, soft skills, being able to sell thyself, know thyself, and then you'll have a much better job search. I think that's the nail on the head, which is great.
Awesome. And Milo, it was great today, man. It was really great talking to you and being able to, get this knowledge from you, because you're someone who has been in the industry for almost a decade now and helping people get their jobs, their dream jobs, actually. You certainly helped me. And I'm someone who's just starting out in my career as well. And it's so important that people are aware of these things so that they can actually make realistic goals and go after their dreams.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for this. And guys, please forgive us if there was some part of the interview that you didn't like, but do leave us a comment. And if you go in the description, you can go on the How to Jobs page and explore more of the offerings that we have on that. My LinkedIn and Milo's LinkedIn would be in the description as well. Feel free to connect with us. And I think there would be our Twitter handle as well.
So on the description, you're going to have our Twitter handle as a company. You're going to have LinkedIn from Vaibhav. You're going to have my LinkedIn. You're going to have a few different links on there as well from any resources that you feel will help you. So if you are stuck in your job search at the moment, that's a great resource point to look at. And I think that's something that you're going to love. We've got a lot of free resources. We've got a lot of premium resources and just a lot of workflows that other people have used to get into their ideal jobs. So I think if we finish it with that, you let us know in the comments any other things that you want us to work on the podcast. We really want to listen to the audience and figure out what talking points you want to hear.
Awesome. And is there one-to-one coaching as well?
There is, absolutely. So if you need some, any session, which is what you've done, but there's also, if you needed the platform, the plan on the platform, or any just sort of help specific to your job search, we can figure that out. So absolutely click on the links below and you'll be able to find that.
That's awesome. So guys, leave a comment, go on our Twitter page and tell us what you guys want us to talk about. More than happy to cover it if it's a specific industry, law, tech, finance, and anything job related that we can help you guys with. We are more than happy to do that. And if I can leave you guys with one thing, is the only thing standing between you and your dream job is yourself. So I would highly recommend take the actions that's necessary and start making it a reality, and stop just sending out your applications in the ether and hoping something happens. If I can leave you with that, that's my 2 cents.
Mic drop moment. There we go. Love it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
First podcast done. Nice.
Awesome.